Okay, welcome back guys to part 3 of the GIS assignment video tutorial for GIS assignment 6. So on part 3 we're going to actually looking at question 4, 5 and 6. Question 4 says that in the buildings layer create a text field and name it land use. So let's start with that before we get into the nitty-gritty of question 5 and 6. So coming back to my arc map, if I open up an attributes table, right click, open attribute table, come to the drop down arrow, and click on add field, and it's going to be L_use SE, and because it's going to be a text field, I'm going to choose text, length 50 is okay. So if I come right to my end, you can actually see the new field has been created. So it's similar to the actual video, actually similar to the actual assignment we did, what is it, in the last assignment. Let me just bring that down. Let's come to question 5. So question 5 says, using the selection tools and structured query language, label or classify the buildings with the corresponding land use in the buildings attribute layer. So if you notice, if you in my attribute table of my buildings, you would notice that it doesn't have a field that explains the actual land use that this building falls under. So, and as you can see, we actually have our two layers. We have our buildings and we actually have our land use. So, and as you can see, these buildings actually fall under particular land use. So we actually want to populate this table, populate this new field with the actual land use that it falls under. So we're going to use that selection by location and attribute table analysis processing. So I'll close that, and it's actually similar to the previous tutorial of what we did in terms of selection by location. So basically I'm going to come to my selection. I'm going to select by attributes because I actually want to select the different types of land uses. So if I come, as you can see, our two layers, we have our buildings and our Pietermaritzburg land uses. So we want to choose our extra Pietermaritzburg land uses. And as you remember, in the attribute table of Pietermaritzburg land uses, we actually have the different fields, FID, code, and class. And class contains the different land uses that are within the Pietermaritzburg. So if I click on class and I say get unique values, you can see the different types of unique land use that falls under, and this corresponds to our layers on our left here. So let me just delete that. So we actually want to search each land use. So in terms of our expression, we're going to double click on class, we're going to click on equals to, and we'll click on commercial, and we want to see that the expression is correct. So we're going to say verify, and it says it's successful. Okay, we click on apply, and as you can see, it has selected all the land uses that are commercial, right? So now there are various buildings that fall under these commercial land uses, and we want to populate these buildings that actually fall under these land uses to say that they are actual commercial buildings. So we're going to click OK, and we're going to come to our selection by location. So our target layer is actual buildings, as you can see it's already ticked, and our source layer is our Pietermaritzburg land uses project. And as you can see, 370 features have selected, which corresponds with all these features. 370 of these commercial features have been selected. So on our spatial selection method, our target layer is going to be intersect. So you're going to keep it as the method that talks to that intersect the source layer feature, and we're going to click apply. So what it's doing is that it's selecting all the buildings that fall under the commercial land use, right? So obviously this does take a bit of time because there are quite a number of buildings. You can see it's doing the final selection. Just wait for that to complete. So while waiting for this to complete, there's actually another shortcut way of doing this. We actually can use actual spatial drawing, which it's more of a a bulk processing of spatially selecting all these land uses. Ooh, I can see that it is selected everything. Oh, here's a mistake. Must actually click on use selected features. So that was my mistake. Let me just redo that again. So don't forget to click on use selected features, otherwise it's going to actually select everything. So let's just wait for that. So as I was saying before, you can actually, there is actually a shortcut method or a shorter way to do it, which does it in a bulk processing form, which is our spatial join. So now, as you can see, it has selected all the buildings that fall under the commercial land uses. So I can click OK. I can wait for that. So it's actually a similar exercise to what we did in the previous assignment. So if I open up my attribute table of my Pietermaritzburg land uses, not land uses, building, sorry. Let's make that as bigger because I can't see anything at the moment. Let's do this. Okay, I can't see my full view here. Okay, that's fine. So as you can see on my buildings layer, you can see that 2,356 have actually been selected. So so if I click on that, these are actually all the buildings that fall under commercial. So as you can see in our land use, empty. So we actually want to populate this and write down commercial. So what you're going to do is we're going to actually use our field calculator. I'm going to click on our field calculator, right click on our field calculator, and you want this to be commercial. So we're going to use our apostrophes, then type in commercial, close it. Was it inverted commas? Yeah, inverted commas, one of the two, excuse me. So you click commercial and click OK. Then as you can see, it has populated this commercial. So now we actually have to repeat the same process for all these land uses. So obviously it's a bit dragged down. So you can see it's populated with commercial. So I'm going to close that, and I'll do two more. I'm going to deselect that. So just make sure to click on deselect so it deselects everything. So we're going to repeat the same process. I'm going to select by attributes. As you can see, it's going to automatically select the Pietermaritzburg land uses and class. Just delete our expression table there. So double click on class, make sure to get the unique values. I'm going to say equals to community, and then we're going to click apply, or actually even OK, since we know that's gonna. So it will take a bit of time. So right now it's going to select all the land uses that are community. So I'll wait for that to complete. So as you can see, selected all the community land uses. So select, now we're going to go to select by location. As you can see, everything's ticked already, and as you can see, 125 features have been selected. I'm going to click OK. So now it's going to select all the buildings that fall under the community land use. Then if I open up attribute table of my buildings, as you can see, 167 buildings fall under our community land use. So I'm going to right click there. I'm going to go to field calculator. So I want this land use to be equal to, don't forget your inverted commas, and we want it to be community. Click OK. And as you can see, it has populated it saying community. So okay, so once that's done, computer's frozen a little bit. So that means we're going to repeat the same process for all the land uses. So I'll do just one more, and then I'll fast forward the video where I've completed everything Yeah, I'll just do one more. So don't forget to click on clear selected features so it clears everything. So I'm going to do one more. Select by attributes. As you can see, already selected. If you want, you don't have to delete the whole expression. Then now we're going to look for, now the third one is education. You can verify, just make sure everything's okay. Click OK. And as you can see, it selected all the land uses that are education. Let me just switch off that table so you just get a better feel for it. So it selected all the land uses that are education. So I'll switch that back on. Then now I want to find out all the buildings that fall under this education land use. So we're going to select by location. You can see 190 features have been selected. And click OK. In your previous assignment, you actually populated the actual number of features. Now we're actually saying we're actually going to populate the actual land use. So we're going to wait for that. So this one's taking a bit longer because it seems to be quite a number of features. So as you can see, it selected all the buildings that fall under land use. That falls under education land use. I'm going to open up an attribute table and just set it there so I can see everything. Then as you can see, I'm going to populate this, and you can even see the class name is school even. So I'm going to go to field calculator, what's the next one? Education, and okay, and as you can see, it populates that. So just do this for, just continue this process and do it with all your land uses, so at least we can fill in this table. So if I go back to my full table where I say show all records, and I'll go back there and I go right to our new field, and you can see it's actually filled in all the buildings that are commercial, the ones that are education, and so on. As you can see, the rest are empty, so you need to fill in those again. So I'll close that. So okay, so I'll come back to, so just continue on with that. I'll fast forward the video to the conclusion of this particular part. Okay guys, so after using the selection tools, you should have been able to classify all the building's land uses. So if I scroll down, every building based on its location should have the corresponding land use in which that it falls under. So now that actually concludes, which is it, part 5 of the assignment. Now on part 6, it says using SQL and selection tool for what you've done, create a new layer showing industrial, community, and education buildings. So now basically what it's asking is that it wants only the buildings that are commercial, industrial, and what's the last one? And no, all the buildings that are industrial, community, and education. So once again, we're going to use our actual selection by attributes table. So I want to select all those buildings, and you're actually going to create a new layer based on that selection. So I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to come back to my selection tool. I'm going to come to select by actual. Just even before that, make sure everything's just deselected. So come to selection, and then select by attributes. Now we want to select our buildings layer. So with our buildings layer selected, you can come to our land use. So double click on land use, and so I want to find out all the land uses that are according to the question, that are industrial. So get your unique values, and let's look for industrial. Double click on industrial. So basically it's going to select, if I say let me even switch off my land use there. Then if I click on apply, what's going to happen is that it's going to select all the buildings that are industrial. but now it wants also the buildings that are community. So we're gonna say, if I come back there, so now to do this in one whole process in our expression, we're gonna click OR. So I'm gonna click twice, just only one OR, and then you click again on land use equaled to community. And then if I click apply, it's actually now selected the additional buildings and communities. So now it's actually selected the buildings that are industrial and also selected buildings that are community. And the last one is all the education buildings. So I'm going to write OR again, and I'm going to click on land use equaled to where's education, and I can verify my expression, and it says the expression was valid, meaning the way I've expressed it is correct. And I can apply again, and you can see it's now selected the additional education buildings. Now you can see that it's selected all the industrial, all the community, and all the education buildings. So now I want to save this selection and create actually a new layer, which is essentially creating a new shape file. So I can click on OK, and then as you can see, everything's been selected. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to our buildings PRB. This actually we're going to right click, and we're going to come to data, and then we're going to come to data export. Then under data export, basically it says export selected features. Usually sometimes it's all features, but we're going to click on selected features. So it's only going to save the features that are selected. Then now the output feature class, make sure to save it within that same folder. So as you can see, mine's already selected. Make sure that's to save as type as a shape file. So as you can see, it'll bring the similar shape files, and then we can say commercial. No, it's not commercial. So it's actually according to the question. So it's basically industrial, community, and education buildings. You can come there. So industrial underscore community underscore education, and I can say underscore buildings, and I can click on save. I can click on OK, and it says, do you want to add export, and say yes. Then I can actually switch off my buildings PNB, can deselect, and then as you can see, it has actually selected, it has actually exported all the buildings of industrial, community, let me just stress it out, and education. If I go to my categorize feature based on the symbiology, based on unique values and land use, let's say add all values. As you can see, it has industrial, education, and community buildings. You can switch that, and as you can see, different colors. You can click on apply, and OK, and then that's how you complete that last question. So as you can see, we have a new layer for industrial, community, and education buildings. So that concludes what's this? This is part 3. Yeah, part 3 of this tutorial. So yeah, that concludes this part, and now we can move on to our last part, which is actually the part B of creating a high quality map. So I'm going to show you a bit of advanced cartography, how you can improve in visualization. So let's complete this part.